And welcome into the Mizzou Central Postgame Show right here on STL Sports Central. My name is Chris Pelikan alongside the Tiger Hall of Famer, Kareem Rush. Tigers win. I didn't know that I'd be saying that tonight, my friend. 76-74 in their SEC opener against the Florida Gators, the defending national champion Florida Gators. Got a lot to kick around over the next 30, 45 minutes, whatever it ends up being. Folks, as always, we would love for you to jump in and let us know your thoughts. I'm not going to lie, I'm confused by this whole thing. Last time we saw the Tigers on the court, we all kind of wanted paper bags for our heads and that sort of thing. And now they go and beat the defending national champs in their conference opener. So let me know what you think, folks. Jump into the chat right there on YouTube and let us know your thoughts. And while you're in there, please hit the like and subscribe button and join the crew here at STL Sports Central. Kareem, the floor is yours, my friend. I look at this thing and there is a lot of different ways we can go about this. There was some good. There was some bad. There was definitely some ugly. But at the end of the day, man, a win's a win. And when you do it against a team that is as talented as Florida is, the defending national champs, which again is a very different team than they were a year ago, but nonetheless, the 22nd ranked team in the country, and coming from where this team was about 10 days ago, I don't know that we could have asked for anything more as Tiger fans.
Yeah, I agree. As a Tiger fan, I'm excited and thrilled that we was able to respond. Basically, the shellacking we got in St. Louis. Didn't know how he was going to respond, but kudos to the team. Kudos to Dennis getting the guys ready to come out here and play. I'm sure there's been lots of talk on the chatter boards about this team and how we perform. But, I was very impressed. It's great to have Stone back. It was great to see Pierce out there, going 10-5. So those are added, we finally have full strength and you see what this team is capable of. Like you said, there's still some things that we can improve on. But all in all, opening up SEC play against the defending champions and get a win is an amazing confidence boost for this team. And hopefully it can, carry on to the rest.
Yeah, and you know what, Kareem, I'm wondering a little bit on this because we look at the scenario like this, we look at this situation, and I'm very curious what your thoughts are, and if you ever went through something like this. You played 3 seasons with the Tigers. That bragging rights game is always an interesting time, right? It's close to finals. Everyone's kind of thinking about the holidays. You've got a decent break coming off it. Again, not to make any excuses for the way the Tigers played that night. It was regrettable, forgettable, awful in every single way. But my question to you is, what do you think Dennis Gates has spent the last week and a half with his team doing? That looks like that game, the Illinois game, was the kind of game that could crush a season inevitably, right? I mean, just you look at that, it was bad on every level. You could understand how a team could come back with zero confidence after playing the way that they played that night. So what do you think happened over the last 10 days? And again, assuming they all got some family time as well, I don't know exactly what the schedule was, if they were gone for most of it, maybe getting away from the game was a good thing for them for a little bit. But, how do we see two very, very polar opposites in terms of performance, in terms of energy, in that short spirit of a short span, of kind of a time period? I'm just curious what you think happened over the last week and a half to where we saw pretty much a different team tonight.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully Dennis was just letting those guys know there's only one game and it's not the full season. So obviously you wanted them, to play a lot better and not be beat by 40 in such a huge game. But getting away from it for, a few days, getting to decompress, go home and see family, but also understanding that when you come back, campus, it's time to get to work. And we got SEC tournament, starting. I mean, it's conference season starting, so we got to get ready. So, like I said, I was impressed by, the guys, how they performed tonight. We back to full strength. So hopefully these guys can find some rhythm within our full unit, and we can start picking up some steam and getting some decent wins and have some continuity in what we're doing. So I still wasn't too happy with the offense. We're still going one-on-one with Mark too much. I think we need more movement out there. But hopefully, like I said, with more guys getting back in the lineup, we can find a better, flow of offense than just kind of relying on Mark to go one-on-one, especially during the crunch time. We did that quite a bit towards the end, and that's not going to be great for us.
Tigers knock off Florida 76-74 in their SEC opener to improve to 1-0 in conference play, 11-3 on the season. As always, folks, we invite you to jump into the YouTube chat and join our conversation here. Corey Land jumps in and says, good win for Mizzou. Would love to see SLU and Mizzou in the tournament this year. Could you imagine 7-10 in the first round at Enterprise? Now, Corey, we can all dream.
Yeah.
But Kareem, I think that the question I think that's important is, you and I did shows all in the non-conference. I think we both agreed that from a talent standpoint, this team had the capability of playing in the tournament again this year. And then they play the KU game, and they play the Illinois game, and all of a sudden we're sitting here saying, I mean, this is a team that might be fighting for an NIT bid at some point in time. If a 500 season seemed almost improbable. After this game tonight, I'm not going to ask you what the expectation is, because the truth is, at this point in time, who the heck knows? But if you're Dennis Gates, and you know Dennis well, what is he saying to his team? I mean, I don't know if there was goals before the season. I think that when you lose 2 games like they lost to KU and Illinois, that probably is going to change anything related to goals. I guess my question is do you think that this has just turned into a, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time? We've got to grind. I mean, nobody in this world believes in us at this point in time for good reason. I mean, what do you think the message is right now?
You was cutting out at the end. Hold on.
And I was basically just saying, Kareem, again, we started at the beginning of the year with what we thought was probably a tournament team from a talent standpoint. And then they go and they play the KU game and the Illinois game, and all of a sudden you're saying this might not be a 500 team. Then they come out and they show a lot of heart in this win, a lot of grit. So again, I'm not thinking that Gates is saying, hey, we're still a tournament team, or, I mean, do you believe that he's talking like minute by minute, hour by hour, game by game at this point in time? Because truth be told, I don't think anyone knows what this team is capable or not capable of.
No, I think he's just preaching that you can see what we can do when we're at full strength. And we haven't been at full strength all year long. So getting those guys back into the fold and getting every piece of our arsenal out there, just gives confidence. So I'm sure he's preaching that, like, guys, we can keep this up. We can be a highly competitive team in another tough SEC conference year. So, again, wins, are tremendous, confidence booster, especially a top 25 team. So I'm sure the guys are feeling great about this victory. They're going to watch tape, improve on things they need to improve on. But again, 1-0 in conference season is a great way to start it.
He is the Tiger Hall of Famer, Kareem Rush. My name is Chris Pelikan. This is the Mizzou Central Postgame Show right here on STL Sports Central. And the Mizzou Central Postgame Show is brought to you in part by the Legal Buddy app. Life happens fast. 1 minute you're driving home, the next flashing lights are in the rear view. When trouble knocks, answer with confidence with the Legal Buddy app. You can connect to a local attorney in seconds, whether it's a DWI, car accident, criminal charge, or traffic ticket. Download the Legal Buddy app today at legalbuddyapp.com. Register and use the code LEGAL, that's LEGAL, to enter for a chance to win a $250 Amazon gift card. Always on your side. That is the Legal Buddy app. So, Kareem, you mentioned Jaden Stone and Trent Pierce coming back, and it was funny because their offensive outbursts sort of bookended this game, right? Yep. So Jaden Stone comes out and scores the first 8 points. Hey, welcome back to the lineup, Jaden Stone. And then Trent Pierce, who had not played a game yet this year, waits until the end and comes up with some huge buckets down the stretch. My question to you, especially, let's start with Stone. You and I talked about him a lot as being, instant offense, Vinnie Johnson, the microwave, coming off the bench. Obviously, he got the start today and scored 8 quick points. How important were those 8 points? I mean, it seemed like that got the crowd into the game, to get them ready to actually fight for 40 minutes. I thought, even though he only ended up with 9 points, the fact that he scored the first 8 were immensely critical in this thing.
Yeah, he gave us our Willis Weed moment on the way back. So, like I said, we've been missing that outside threat outside of Jacob. So having him come in and knock those first 2 threes down, I'm sure that's been on the message boards all around. Like, we need some outside shooting. So that influx of energy, he's a 20-point per game scorer, on the D1 level. So we need that offensive punch. And looking at the box score, we have 5 guys in double figures, which is kind of where we need to be. We want to rely solely on Jacob and Mark to be our offensive load. So we can find that 4 or 5 guys in double figures every game. We got a good chance of being a good team. That doesn't allow a team to kind of focus on our 2 main guys.
And I'm not going to lie, when Trent Pierce drove to the basket late in the game, a very tight game, I believe they were tied at that point in time, and makes that tough shot in the lane. I'm going, okay. I was like, that's not the guy I wanted taking that shot, but then he makes it. And then they get the ball to Mark. He's going down low. Clearly, they bring some help. He doesn't have a shot, kicks it out. Pierce hits the 3. I'm going, now part of me is going, what is he doing? This is the first game this guy's played. Then the second part of me is like, you know what? Trent Pierce has had some really nice moments in his first 2 years. Trent Pierce was always the guy that everyone said might be a one and done guy. I mean, I know it clearly hasn't worked out that way, but there's a lot of ability there. And, so, I mean, I guess big kudos to a guy coming off that kind of rust to go in at a huge point in the game and make shots like that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the more offensive power that we need. I said big shots. Like I said, those two guys are going to be a welcome addition, to our offensive punch. So again, we got to find better ways to get guys some easier shots and easier looks. But again, kudos, like you said, kudos to him to come back, from being out all year long and playing such a vital role in tonight's win.
Another guy who had a big night tonight, Anthony Robinson, and it is becoming more and more evident that Anthony Robinson needs to be on the floor as long as Anthony Robinson can possibly be on the floor. I mean, the guy, you look at his stat line tonight, and again, this is such a prototypical Anthony Robinson stat line: 16 points, 8 boards, 5 assists, 2 steals.
Yeah.
Only 1 turnover on the night too. I mean, it's like, do I get a little bit tight sometimes when he pulls up on some of those threes? And, he's obviously not a Jacob Cruz level shooter. It's not a Jaden Stone level shooter. He makes some big shots at big times, makes some silly plays too. That offensive foul he took late was just something where you're going, all right, you're a junior, Anthony. Like you can't take those kind of silly plays. But at the end of the day, I mean, the guy is basically, I think we're understanding the heart and soul of this team. And I mean, when you saw that last 3 bank in, I mean, it's just, what were your thoughts on Anthony Robinson's performance on hitting a big shot at a big time, obviously calling bank and, but obviously what he did the entire night. I mean, this game, they clearly don't win this game without his performance.
He has to be our second best player. I mean, he doesn't need to be a 20-point per game scorer, but, filling the stat line like he did is going to be important for us. He's obviously,
all right, Kareem is popping in and out a little bit. The Wi-Fi bugs are getting after him, but in the meantime, there you are.
I'm back. If he can hit a consistent, my Wi-Fi is terrible tonight. If he can hit a consistent jump shot, Ant Rob's going. He's an all SEC player. He has so many intangibles that he does well. If he can find some confidence in that shot and be a 15, 16 point per game scorer for us consistently, we'd be in a great spot. But good game for him tonight. Big shots, and he led us very well.
All right. Well, speaking of Anthony Robinson, the Mizzou Central Postgame Show is brought to you by our business banking partners at Home Bank. From business lending to everyday banking, Home Bank has been with us since day one as a trusted partner. Business, not just about the numbers, it's about relationships. And with Home Bank, those relationships make all the difference. Home Bank is the team behind our team at STL Sports Central. Visit myhomebank.bank or call 855-577-2001. Home Bank, member FDIC, more than a bank. They are your business partner, and they do bring us the money moment of the game. And Kareem, I don't know, man. I'll let you tell me if you disagree, but boy, it seems like the money moment of the game was the bank 3 at the end to make, I believe, a 5-point game at the time and a 2-possession game late. I mean, any other thoughts on that shot?
I mean, I like Trent's big 3. I like his little layup, but yeah, I would say that bank shot closed it out for us. We still had me sweating at the end with those fouls towards the end and missing those free throws, but yeah, that was a big shot from Ant.
Yeah, we got some negative to talk about, but the first 15 minutes of the show, all positive. Anthony Robinson's bank 3 at the end of the game, the money moment of the game, brought to you by Home Bank, the team behind our team at STL Sports Central. Visit myhomebank.bank or call 855-577-2001. All right, Kareem. So a lot of good, obviously, but still some stuff not so good in this one. And you mentioned the free throw shooting. Again, a problem on the night tonight. I believe the Tigers finished it from the free throw stripe, a little over 60%. Were they 16 of 26? Is that what I'm seeing? Something along those lines. Aside from practicing, I mean, is this just in your mind? I feel like they've got guys who can shoot free throws. There's a few. Sean Phillips, obviously, is a guy who's going to struggle with the line a little bit, but the rest of them seem to be able to shoot when they need to shoot. You just got to be better, don't you, if you want to win games? It just doesn't. It doesn't.
Close games, you get throws. Yeah, it's going to bite us in the butt at some point if we don't address it. But we got to be honest with ourselves. We're not the best free throw shooting team. It's been one of our Achilles heels, for a long time. So we just hope that when it counts, we hit them, when they're needed. But all in all, we're not a great free throw shooting team, and it's probably one of our weakest points.
18 of 30 on the night. So I didn't mark off the last few, but 60%. And it seems like that's going to be a little bit low for a team that has any aspirations of doing much of anything. And then let's chat about the defense. And the defense is always going to be an interesting thing. You and I have talked a lot about this throughout the course of the year. I still have contended that the defense has got to be the tone setter since they don't shoot the ball as well as they did last year. Again, we saw what Jaden Stone did scoring the first 8 points and the energy it brought. And that pushed them through a pretty decent first half that left them tied at the break. They've got to find energy in different spots. And we continue to see inconsistent moments with the defense. All due respect to Florida and a very, very talented front line. I had several people text me tonight that Mark Mitchell didn't look real good tonight. And I said, I think we got to be honest. This was a tough matchup for Mark because Florida's got 4 guys, 6'10" or above, who are probably as athletic, if not more than he is, right? So it's like, this is not what you're going to see all that often. You're not going to see teams with a front court like Florida has. So, Mark's game of getting to the basket and sort of exploiting mismatches, tough one for him in that regard. I'm only saying that because, again, it seemed like Florida got to the basket at will throughout this game. They took a lot of threes, and they didn't make very many, and that's one of the reasons that this game ended up being what it was. Florida ended up being 7 of 27 from 3. I'm looking at that saying they got to the basket when they wanted to. I don't know why they took 27 threes in this game. So, again, the defense, it seems like Dennis throws the curveball and brings the zone in. Yeah. Right. And we see that. And it works in spurts.
It does work. It works.
But then most teams, Illinois completely demolished the zone when and you saw Florida figuring out the ways to get it in the middle, so it seems like it works in spurts. What are your thoughts on the way this team plays defense? And I guess the question more is, is that going to be the thing that ends up sinking this team at the end of this year, is that they could not consistently stop the other team from getting to the basket if they needed to, because it just seemed like it was really easy for Florida all night tonight.
I mean, they got good guards, and we in college basketball, we're the top levels. Guards are good. I think we had them to 70-some points, which is good. I mean, I don't know what their average were, so I don't think we played too horribly defensively. I think you're searching for the perfect game defensively, from the guys. But to hold Florida to 70 points, and sometimes you just don't make shots. And I think what allows them to get to the basket is the ability to shoot open threes, and taking those shots gives you an advantage when you're driving. So closing out, you tend to you give up a drive. So all in all, I think we played decent defensively. We're still searching for that great game when we come home. We come on, we're like, oh my God, we played to the top of our capabilities, and we haven't done that yet. But we can continuously squeak by and get wins in the SEC. Win is a win. We hope we play a little bit better next game, but there's certainly things we can improve. But again, holding them to 70 points is not a bad deal.
Kareem, I'm a very decorated grade school church league defender. All right, so that's why the standards are up here for this guy. Good enough to play in high school? Absolutely not. But you know what? I went down there and I locked it down. I was the Gary Payton of CYC here in St. Louis.
Love.
So let's put that in mind. All right, so tonight Dennis Gates plays 11 guys. Right, you and I have talked about rotation. Again, it's one of these things that I'm going to hold to my guns on this thing and say that I think you got to settle on 8. Nicholas Randall comes in clearly just to sort of change the rhythm and try to put another body, so I don't know that he's going to see a lot of time, but I see a scenario where Dennis is going to keep playing 10 guys, and I don't know. It feels like that's tough to get rhythm. What are your thoughts? I mean, depth, it seems like it's kind of a double-edged sword sometimes, right? Like, I mean, you have too much of it. I mean, people say you never have too much depth, but I mean, if you're not getting into rhythm offensively, then it feels like you probably have too much depth. I'm just curious your thoughts on, now that the team is quote unquote fully healthy. Trent Burns is back. We saw some interesting moments from Trent. We'll get into obviously Trent Pierce and Jaden Stone back tonight. I don't know. I mean, where do you sit right now with what you think Dennis has about halfway through his season? And kind of where he should go with it moving forward?
I mean, I thought it was good to play 11 guys tonight, especially with these guys finally being back. So now you can kind of test different rotation, different lineups to kind of see what works. So I'd assume, based now being back at full strength, that lineup will kind of solidify within the next 5 to 10 games, where we probably will get down to 8. But I think allowing every guy until you can't just come back and play Trent and Stone tonight and not play Mac. So I think having those guys be able to get a little bit of minutes and try to find the right rhythm with the right group is what he did tonight. And again, I think, like I said, by the time 5 to 10 games pass, we will probably solidify our lineup between 8 to 10 guys. But 10 and 11 is pretty tough to maintain.
Do you see a scenario at the point guard position? And obviously, I've made my feelings pretty clear on T.O. Barrett and how much he probably should be playing. But I don't know. It feels like Anthony Robinson's got to be a 35-minute-a-game guy unless he's in foul trouble. Do you feel comfortable if Jaden Stone's handling the ball a little bit more than Barrett at this point in time? Do you see value in what Barrett does? I think that there's some creativity offensively. The guy's obviously fearless. I mean, I think he's a good player in certain areas, but boy, he comes out and he struggles to defend on the ball. There's no doubt about that. And he does have what I call Nick Honor-itis, where sometimes you want to get down into the lane and forget that you're 6'1" or 6'2", and there's 7-foot guys standing there, and we're going to try to make, layups. I love the courage, but at the same time, it just doesn't work, Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts on the point guard position and maybe what they do with options behind Robinson? Barrett.
I like Stone better at the backup. I think we need a little more offensive firepower from our point than T.O. is given right now. He's very reluctant to shoot any outside shots or be aggressive besides driving to the basket, which he drives into the trees quite oftenly. So I want to see him out there playing. He could be a better combo guy that can get off the ball and do some other things. But him on the ball, I think we need a little bit more offensive power and punch there. So I think Stone could be a good option. I haven't seen him play point, so I'm sure Dennis is going to kind of give him a chance to do it. But again, if we can get and Rob out there to stay out of foul trouble and play 35, that'd probably be the best route for us.
I think so. I don't know about you. My already strained heart took a little bit of a beat when he comes up lame after that layup and starts grabbing at the calf, and I'm sitting there fearing the worst and thinking he's got an Achilles. And then you see the toes getting pulled back. We're like, all right, good. We're only in cramp zone. Yeah. So, but boy, he certainly made the heart skip a beat a little bit. He is Kareem Rush. I'm Chris Pelikan. Tigers win tonight by a final of 76-74 over Florida. They improved to 11-3 on the season, 1-0 in SEC play. And Kareem, in case you were curious tonight, I don't know if you know what the point spread was, but Florida came into Columbia as a 7.5-point favorite in this thing. So clearly the betting world, not big fans of the Tigers at this point in time for obvious reason, and maybe that'll change. But speaking of the point spread, Missouri, your moment finally here, because DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is now live in your state. Now you can make every game even more exciting with same-game parlays, money lines, props, and more, all from your phone, all safe, secure, and easy to use. Missouri fans know game day. They know the tailgates, the noise, the passion. Now with DraftKings Sportsbook, you can bring that same energy to every snap, every touchdown, every win. And right now, new Missouri customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. No waiting, no nonsense, just pure action, powered by America's top-rated sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code STL Sports. New Missouri customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. That's code STL Sports. The crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Tigers win 76-74 over Florida, the defending national champions. I don't know if you had the Tigers winning this one on your bingo card, but they are 1-0 in SEC play. He is Kareem Rush. I'm Chris Pelikan. This is the Mizzou Central Postgame Show right here on STL Sports Central. So, Kareem, next up for our Tigers is a road date at Rupp Arena against Kentucky. That game coming up next week on the 7th. Boy, you know what? It's funny because Kentucky looks completely and totally lost. I know that is one of the hardest places to play in all of college basketball. But if you're Dennis Gates right now, what are you telling this group? I mean, again, highest of highs, lowest of lows. They've had some really, really up and down moments over the course of the last 2 weeks. Now they got to go into Rupp to play a team that certainly has talent, hasn't found their own rhythm, much like the Missouri Tigers have not. But again, you're 1-0 in SEC play with a chance to go to 2-0.
Yeah, you're telling us let's keep stacking wins and stacking good games. Let's improve on what we did, what we missed on last game, and it's a new opponent. So it's a whole new challenge. Rupp is legendary. So the atmosphere is going to be crazy. But again, like I said, it's all about stacking wins and getting out as quick as you can in the SEC, and it's going to be tough. So I think he should be excited. Like I said, we have full strength. Guys are riding high. So next up Kentucky, let's see what we can do.
And it's funny because anyone who watched tonight's game saw probably 30 minutes of really good basketball from the Tigers in different spurts, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had 10 minutes at different points throughout the game where they looked overwhelmed. They looked disorganized. You mentioned before, we're always chasing the perfect game. Perfect game is probably not a realistic thing to think about. What can this team do? And again, this is probably just a very generic basketball question, but this is not a young team in any way, shape, or form. You expect it when 18-year-olds are out there running around that they're going to come and go with consistency, but there's a lot of age. There's a lot of experience with this group. What do they do, in your opinion, to avoid these 10-minute stretches that can cost them the entire game? Because they've had too many of those throughout the year. They had it tonight. It made, there was at one point that they were up by 10 in the second half and they could have run away with it, but then they go 5 minutes without making a field goal. And you're sitting there going, they got super stagnant on offense at that point in time, a lot of standing around. If you're coaching this team, you played for a lot of great coaches in your day. What are the things that Dennis can tell this group in order to get them to avoid these ruts that can end up being, cost them the game?
I mean, those are just kind of the ebbs and flows of the game. Unfortunately for us, we don't have very many go-to guys that can stop a run or go get a bucket besides Mark, really. So we can go on offensive lows based on that. And our offense doesn't really allow guys to get involved and get easy buckets. So we tend to struggle. But if defensively, that just comes down to effort, so that falls on our leadership and the older guys in the locker room to bring the energy. That's something Dennis can't bring to you. You gotta play with that type of energy. So if guys are not playing hard, that's a problem in itself. But I think guys go out there and compete. But again, the lows is going to be part of the game. But I said our offense tends to lend to those 10-minute struggles because we do rely solely on Mark to kind of create for us. So I think as we build on a more offensive flow, guys can get more involved and create easier shots for guys that can limit those lows that we tend to have.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about Trent Burns in this thing. I mean, he's such an interesting prospect, right? I mean, anytime you see 7'5" on a roster, you're sitting there saying, well, I got to see what this looks like. Right. Yeah. And, to his credit, Trent Burns is not your run-of-the-mill 7'5" guy who can't move at all.
He moves well.
He moves pretty decent for that size. He hits a huge three at the end of the first half to tie the game. He gets 2 goaltending calls on him, which I don't know about you. I don't think either of them were a goaltend personally, but is what it is. Again, here I am, the one saying 8 guys in a rotation. They run 11 tonight. He's an interesting guy. Where do you think he fits in this thing? We just haven't seen a ton of him, obviously. And it was a tough night for him too, because, when you're talking about Florida and Chinjalu, that guy is a monster.
That is a monster.
And I'm like, I wouldn't wish him on my worst enemy. And
TJ Cioye.
I mean, 100%. Absolutely. I mean, he just insanely strong, insanely physical. I mean, you can tell that he is he's probably growling when he's out there. He plays so hard, I mean, the guy, he deserves assists. I mean, if you watch Florida's offense, half of their offense, and I realize this when I'm talking about how well they get to the basket, part of it is Jimmy who boxes out better than anyone. He is sitting there moving people out of the middle of the lane.
They tracked it. I saw they said on the Pelikan, they track it as like closeout, box out assist.
I mean, and he's got to be number 1 in the country in that stat because he is just an animal. So so Trent Burns going in there against a guy who is a grown man and a very, very strong man at that, tough. But I mean, I'm just curious your thoughts on where you see Trent Burns sort of fitting in with this whole thing.
I don't know. He is quite interesting. I mean, he shoots threes. He can move for being so tall, and he could be a defensive presence for us with more time. Physicality kind of bothers him now. He's kind of, off on his feet a little bit, so he needs to work on his balance there. But, as he gets stronger and gets more time and develops, he could be an interesting piece to it. But I think before anything, you got to see him on the court a little bit more to see actually what he can do. The little spurts that he comes out there, he's just a 7'5" guy. But I would love to see him get some more action and seeing what he can actually do out there.
Super interesting prospect. Well, again, the Tigers win this one by final of 76-74. We'll start winding this thing down. But before we do that, buddy, what we got to do. You got one?
I got a bottle, yeah.
I mean, there it is, my friend. All right, so the Mizzou Central Postgame Show is sponsored in part by University Spirits' new Rivals Bourbon Collection featuring the black and gold. Taste the tradition in every sip from University Spirits, a company created by our very own Kareem Rush and his brother, Brandon. The brand is not just a product, it's a celebration of legacy, culture, and the connections we share over a great drink. University Spirits is here to elevate every sip one story at a time. To pre-order, visit universityspirits.com. Even if you're not a bourbon drinker, support one of our favorite Tigers and grab a bottle to display at home. That is universityspirits.com. For the new black and gold bourbon, University Spirits, taste the tradition in every sip. We'll go ahead and issue a cheers on this one, my friend. And then why don't you go ahead and give us a heads up on what's going on with
So very, very exciting things for University Spirits coming up. So my initial, the one you're tasting now, just is my standard juice. So I decided to flip the script.
Your standard juice.
Yeah, I decided to flip the script now. I wanted to do kind of a flavor profile for each state that we launch in. So my new Missouri batch will be the same 6-year juice, but it will have a nice molasses flavor profile.
I thought you were going to tell me it tasted like toasted raviolis.
And then for Kansas, I'm doing sunflower honey. So now each state will have its own individual flavor profile to differentiate. Obviously, the Mizzou one is going to be a little bit better than the KU one, obviously. But we're launching that here in February. So we're excited about the new direction, and the brand is growing every day, and we're excited about the future for it.
That is universityspirits.com. Log on and go ahead and pre-order your bottle. All right, my friend, again, Tigers win 76-74 over Florida, the defending national champs. I can't say that enough. I don't know if I'm going to have a chance to say it too many more times on this. They do improve to 1-0 in SEC play, 11-3 on the year. Clearly the biggest win of the season for Dennis Gates' group. Kareem, they take on Kentucky next week. Your thoughts closing this one up, looking forward to their next game.
Looking forward to being 2-0 in SEC play. Big win, national champs going down. We got our full roster back, so Dennis got all his weapons. Hopefully these guys can find the rhythm and play up to their capabilities and get a win.
That game will be on Wednesday down at Rupp Arena in Kentucky. Tigers, not sure what the point spread is on that one just yet, but go ahead and check out our friends at DraftKings.com, and they will have something for you there. Tigers used to be really good against the spread. This year, not so much, but maybe the SEC play is bringing a new chapter to our Tigers. All right, so that's going to do it for us tonight. Tigers win again 76-74 against Florida. They will take on Kentucky on Wednesday. We will be back for another post-game show then. In the meantime, for Kareem Rush, I'm Chris Pelikan. Thanks to Joe Roderick for running things back in the station. Tigers win again 76-74, and we will see you on Wednesday.
Like Jameis.